Good afternoon, guys. My name is Onyekachi Umendo, and you're welcome to another episode of Having Conversations around COVID-19. How you guys doing? How you guys coping? It's been a time of really reflecting, a time of really welcome. Mrs. Makanjuola is online. It's been a time of I'm trying to just figure out a lot of things going forward post COVID and all of that. Today we have somebody who's going to be joining us from the UK, and she's going to be discussing on combating the virus as a frontline healthcare worker. We know the challenges that these people are faced with. We're going to be talking about challenges. We're going to be talking about stigma. We're going to be talking about how they cope with their family, and of course, going forward, how they have been coping generally with this whole COVID-19 wahala. I'll quickly add her on so that she would join us on this conversation. Please, if you have your questions, do well to drop them in the comment section. So that welcome, Mama T. Welcome, Kenny.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
How are you doing, ma'am?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's good to have you on our show. This show actually started while trying to stay at home and trying to stay sane. We don't want to just get all lazy and don't work with our minds. We decided to just have conversations around COVID-19. Like I was discussing with you earlier, we've had conversations around the impact of this whole thing on the economy. We are trying to just talk about everything around it. And of course, we have also looked at the post-COVID-19, what people should begin to do now, so that at the end of the day, we don't get stuck, because we know a lot of businesses are going to start picking up again. Even we know economy is not going to just open up at once, so it's going to take quite a while. So we've had conversation around all of these things. So today, you're a frontline worker. I want to know, how has it been generally for you, going with regards to this coronavirus?
Yeah. Initially, when the whole thing started, I mean, I'm a midwife and I work in a maternity unit here in UK, and it's initially it was a question of what do we do, because it's not something that we've actually experienced before, and this kind of what we've not had. I've never ever worked in, since I've been working, we've never had a pandemic like this before, so it's new. It's something that is, we don't really know much about. And the question was, okay, what do we do? People were confused. The management were like, okay, they were strategizing on the way forward, how to manage the situation, how to bring us in, how to, encourage us, how to keep us, motivated. People, obviously, with underlying health complications as healthcare workers themselves, are fearful for their own well-being. You have many of us who are mothers, fathers, who are like, oh, if I go to work and get this thing, what am I going to do? What about my family? Everybody is literally just, worried for themselves, and concerned about how do we care for these people safely and still be safe ourselves. Many issues have come up in terms of PPE equipment, having what is the correct one. First of all, the government said use this one, then that one become unavailable, then they said, okay, this one too is okay. People are skeptical that, is this really the right thing you're giving us to work with, or you're trying to push us to just do what we need to do. So I think everybody has been afraid, but then we haven't got a choice. This is our calling, this is our job, this is what we're here for, so we have no choice but to just get on with it, go to work and adhere to guidelines that have been laid out for us and do the job that we've been asked to do.
For me, I'm very much happy for people like you. You guys are the real heroes.
Thank you.
But how do you cope? Like, how do your family cope, knowing that you guys are exposed to these things? How do your family cope?
Okay. Well, I can speak for my family, definitely. I know that they've been afraid as well. Like,
Yeah.
I remember a day that my son and my children were like, "Oh, mommy, don't go to work. Please stay at home." My mother was like, "Don't go to work. Why are you sure you're not just cancel and stay at home this week?" I'm like, I can't just cancel just because COVID is in our ward, or we have patients with COVID in our ward. We have to go to work. We have to look after these people. We don't really have a choice. So I mean, generally, on the family front, everybody's afraid. My parents call me like every day. Every day they're calling me, they're praying for me. They're telling me, make sure you're praying and everything. So everybody generally around you as a key worker, everybody's afraid for you. They're checking on you every so often. Are you okay? Is everything okay? And again, you as an individual, I as an individual, I'm afraid for my family. So very, very cautious when I go to work, knowing fully well that my children, my husband, my whole family set up, our well-being is at stake here. If anything goes wrong, if I bring anything home, my family's at risk. So generally, I'd say that it's been a fearful time, and generally the family themselves as well have been quite afraid. At home, we've adopted different kind of methods of apart from trying to maintain good hygiene. The children are, they can educate anybody about hand hygiene now. You have to wash your hand for 20 seconds. They know the drill. They know how it goes. When you come in, first thing first, you take off your shoes at the door. You go into the bathroom, you wash your hands. Any clothing, outside clothing, you take it off at the door. When me and my husband come in from work, we literally drop our clothes at the door. We don't come into the house with our work clothes, because just trying to be safe. So I mean, the different routines that we take at home, we try to imbibe you have the medical side, and you have obviously the kind of orthodox, take your ginger, take your lemon, take your garlic, those kind of things that, try to steam and, do the other things you can do as a prevention. Eat healthy, make sure that we're taking our multivitamins and keeping our immune system well boosted, those kind of things that, will kind of help us to be in top form physically, and so that we're healthy, and able to fight off anything that might want to penetrate into our bodies.
Wow, awesome. For you guys in the UK, is a system that works, yeah. What are the safety measures put in place by the government, the hospital where you work, especially for people like you who are in the front line? What are the safety measures in place?
Definitely, I'd say that we have a system that seems to be working really well at the moment. And I think the bottom line for any nation, for any country, for any people, is to be able to adhere to government guidelines. I can't stress that enough. I find that the inability to stay home for many people is going to make this thing even worse than it needs to be. I mean, where we are now, we're told, I live in London, only key workers or people who are essential workers, that if you don't go to work, them not working is going to affect the general running of things, for everybody. They're the only people that are allowed to go to work. So you have your, transport people, you have us key workers, you have some teachers, because for some of us key workers that I'm blessed, my mother-in-law's just stuck with me now because she can't leave because of COVID-19. So it means that I can go to work without any concern. And I leave the kids at home all day. But some people literally have no one to stay with the kids. They have to go to work. And so there are some teachers that are still at school working to look after children of key workers. So you have different people, all the different sectors, health, education, everywhere that they have essential workers are still going into work. But that is only people who have to. Everyone who can work at home must stay at home and work from home. So that in itself is something that is working. Even in the supermarkets, just to, go and buy things, the way that they're operating this 2-meter distance, social distancing. You can't go into the shop and you see all of us all together boxed in one space. No, everything is regulated. We're queuing up to go into the shops. They're giving us hand alcohol alcohol wipes to wash our hands, to clean our trolleys. They're giving us gloves in some stores. The system of payment is now, they're encouraging us to make card payments. They don't want us to be exchanging cash coins or anything like that anymore, just to minimize the risk of infection or spread. So everything has been done within our community to encourage the extension or the resolution of this pandemic at my place of work, for instance. Now, you know, when I go into work every single day, everybody has got to don their mask. We have got face masks on available for everybody. We have gloves for people. For if I'm caring for somebody who has COVID-19, our equipment is different. Our PPE equipment is completely different, and it's, you know, that one that we have the visors, that goggles. We have the long gown. You know, we don't look after people who have COVID and then look after people who don't have COVID. Like I said, I'm a midwife, so I look after patients who have maybe delivered or who are pregnant. I may have COVID. So I will not look after somebody who has got COVID-19 and then look after somebody who has not, just to prevent this whole same cross-contamination and everything as well. And all the equipment that we need is available. If anybody feels unwell as a key worker, we're advised to stay home in isolation for up to 14 days. Mainly 7 days if you don't have any symptoms. If you have symptoms, you stay for the 14 days. If you don't have symptoms, you then are it's evaluated and reviewed, and you can go back, you know, after 7 days. But most people tend to take their 14 days off work completely, just to, you know, be sure that they're okay before they come back to work. And those people are often, you know, offered, if you have symptoms, you're offered testing, you know, to be able to test. And also, again, you're paid for being off. So people haven't got any, like I'm saying, the government has enabled it so that everybody doesn't feel like, you know, if I have to go out, I have to hustle, I have to do something to be paid. Because even if you cannot go to work, you will still get paid, especially if, you know, you can prove that you're losing an income by not being at work. You understand? So, you know, in terms of my place of work, those are the things that we have in place. We have alcohol gel readily available at different stations, you know, every bay. We have, you know, hand wash basins everywhere, you know. So, and the cleaning as well in the ward is like, has been maximized. Every time there's cleaning going on, sanitization going on. Any patient that has COVID-19 that has been looked after in a particular room, that room is deep cleaned to, you know, to a very, very high standard, so that there's no risk of cross-contamination as well. And you find that even within ourselves as staff, we're not bunching together in one small office or in one small space. You find that staff are very aware. If I see that I'm in the staff room and there's already like 4 people here, I'll excuse myself and go and find somewhere else to sit, because we don't want to, you know, bunch ourselves up and put ourselves at risk. So, you know, those are the kind of things that we're doing in my place of work to, you know, promote this, you know, promote our you know, hygiene standards and trying to eradicate this pandemic.
Wow. You're a midwife, and I'm very interested in that, because this is not a good time to be sick. People get sick every now and then. People have flu every now and then. But right now is not a good time to be sick, because I know at the point people began to get very scared. Just a little headache or flu, they will be like, "Hey, hope I don't have this thing." Now, you're a midwife, and how has it been for those women who are pregnant coming to the hospital, probably for antenatal delivery and all of that? How has it been with them?
So, I mean, those women, I find that one group of women that are very careful is pregnant women. Pregnant women are generally, I think it's an instinctive and an innate thing to be protective, because you are protective of the child you're carrying, and you're protective of yourself, because, you know, if anything happens to you, something happens to your child. So I found that, you know, in this particular point in time, women, pregnant women especially, are very, very careful. I looked after a lady a couple of days ago, and I just opened the curtain just to go in and say hello. I stood by because I didn't even come close to her, and she said to me, "Oh, please use your mask." And I was thinking to myself, this woman, I've not even moved close to you. You're telling me to use my mask, you know? So it's like everybody is very careful, and women are very guarded because they have to protect themselves and their babies. So, I mean, within maternity care, I find that our women are very, very good. They adhere so well to the rules and regulations, and they are very careful, you know, that you hardly see them going out. You hardly see them, you know, doing what is not needed for them to do. Even in actually another measure that we have put in place in my where I work in my trust is that partners are not allowed after delivery, after the woman has delivered and you've seen the safe delivery of your child, we bid you goodbye until the day of discharge. The partner is not allowed to come into the postnatal ward. So they say goodbye to themselves at the door from labor ward. They come down to the postnatal ward. They are not allowed in the postnatal ward. They're not allowed to come in until the day that their wife will be going home. Their wife will meet them at the door. So it's just another way. And women are very, you know, you'd find that someone who's maybe had a cesarean section and is in pain and has a baby to look after. There's nobody. with her. So it's put a lot more pressure on staff because we have to, you know, be at that woman's beck and call
Yeah,
throughout because
yeah,
she doesn't have anybody. Whereas normally we used to allow like partners or maybe moms or somebody's birth partner to be with them for 24 hours. Your
yeah.
mom could stay with you, your partner can stay with you. In this situation now, you're not allowed. You know, this woman is basically by herself with her child until she goes home. So in these instances, these are the part of the things that we have put in place to protect our women, to protect the babies, and to protect ourselves even as staff, because we don't know where some of the family visitors may be coming from. So no visitors allowed at all into the wards, even into the hospital. You're not a patient. Patients who are admitted are not allowed visitors. If you don't have an appointment or you don't have something cogent to do in the hospital, you're not even allowed in. So it's everything is really, really strict. Everything is really, you know, locked down tight so that we're minimizing the risk of transmission of any form of, you know, disease.
I'm sure this must be a very, very challenging time for anybody who is a health worker. It must be a very, very challenging time because now we have to cope with regular people who are sick and them also trying to still avoid the spread of this virus. One question I was going to ask you is how is it like? How effective is the testing for those who have this virus? You know, because for here in Nigeria, there are no many testing centers, and that is why it is difficult to actually know the number of people who are confirmed cases of this virus. You know, so for you guys in the UK, how is it like? How effective is it in terms of testing those who are probably have symptoms but needed to
Yeah.
be tested for the virus?
So testing is only available for anybody who has got symptoms. So if you don't have any symptoms of testing, of the disease, you can't come and say, "Oh, I want to be tested," because number one, the testing kits they're not many, you know. So
Yeah,
we have to give to those who really actually need it. So I mean, if we, for instance, my patients, for instance, that might show signs or any symptoms of, you know, having an infection or having, you know, of this COVID-19, basically, maybe either coughing or a temperature or both, or you know, even if just one, you know, we tend to really look closely and test that particular patient. I remember there was a time when we had a client who was coughing quite a lot. She was coughing a lot, and I was like, "Oh, there's someone coughing like this." And I asked her, "You're coughing quite a lot." She was not. She didn't have a temperature. She was not pyrexia. She was not unwell. She just had a baby. She was okay, but she was coughing, and this was the only isolated symptom that she was exhibiting. And you know, she had a baby with her and everything. And I asked her, why was she coughing? Is she, you know, how long has she been coughing for? And she told me, oh, she's been coughing for like 2 weeks now. You know, it's just a cold that she has. And that's the thing, you know, now if you cough or you sneeze, it could be hay fever. It's hay fever season right now. It could be hay fever, it could be anything. But then we tend to be a lot more skeptical now if you do
yeah,
any of those, because if you
yeah.
cough or you sneeze, then just, you know, we don't want to hear excuse. We just move back, you know, that, are you sure you're okay? So this lady, you know, she didn't have a temperature, which is one of the major symptoms of COVID-19. She just only was coughing. So, you know, we just kind of watched her a little bit, and then she then had one episode of raised temperature. So that made it 2 symptoms, and then we tested her and she was positive. Everybody that was in the bay with her, with that lady, we had to test every one of them because she was looked after by one midwife, you know, even more than one midwife, because this happened over like a span of 2 shifts. So she was looked after by several members of staff, and she was looked after she was looked after along with a few women in the same bay. So we had to test those ladies. We had to deep clean that room. We had to isolate her in her own room and look after and watch her for. Then this woman was absolutely fine, you know, for the duration of time she was with us. She didn't deteriorate. She didn't become unwell. She did test positive, but she was okay. And her baby also tested positive as well. Baby too was
Wow.
fine. So, you
Yeah.
know, I think it was just some people will you know, get symptoms and they'll become unwell. Some people will not, you know, maybe just more than a cough. And that one-off temperature was all she had. She didn't have any further temperature. She was not sick. She didn't require any medication or any treatment. And after we just discharged her home.
And I also think that the whole this whole COVID-19 thing, it comes, the symptoms for different people varies. So for some, it might not be cough, it might be diarrhea. I don't know. I don't know how true that
Some
is.
people have, yeah. Some people people have varying symptoms, rightly, like you said. Some people it's loss of appetite. Some people it's loss of not loss of appetite, loss of taste. Some people loss of smell. So something as even as you know, unsuspecting as that, loss of smell, loss of taste, and also, you know, raised temperature above 37.9 is what we recommend, or what we would say is a symptom. So I mean, there are various symptoms, but then the one that we would actually say is the main symptom is the cough and the temperature.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much. Generally, if you're going to advise people, I know a lot of times there are a lot of awareness going on. If you're going to advise people, for us in Nigeria, I've always said it over and over again, social distancing is not something that can work for us here. Nigerians, we live in a communal kind of setting. There's only a few people who I can say can observe the whole social distancing thing. Some areas you cannot experience that. Now, government and individuals are trying to reach out to certain people who are vulnerable in the society, who don't have what to eat, who are staying at home, but they don't have means of providing for their families, because a lot of them are daily income earners. And at the point that the government is not making provision, okay, in the UK, for example, anybody who is not working at this point in time but can provide proof of losing income, the government pays.
Yeah.
Government is not paying anybody here. I know I've read and I've seen a couple of videos where they go to the north to give people money. The statistics with which they do that, a lot of us don't know how they now choose those people as the people who should benefit. A lot of us don't know. There are a lot of businesses, registered businesses, who at this point in time are also supposed to get like income and not also getting. So everybody is like on a lockdown. Now, for some who have enough money here in Nigeria, who also try to reach out, we also see that they are not able to help in terms of managing the people, because once people see truckload of rice, gari beans and all of that, everybody they rush at it. Now, at that point in time, I become scared. I'm in my house, right? I've been in the house for like 3 weeks. I've not stepped out. Like, I'm really adhering to that rule of staying indoors. But what about the people? What about the people out on the outside? People who have not been able to really stay at home because they cannot provide for themselves. What do you think, for you, an advice for us as a nation? What do you think we can do at this point in time?
That is really a big question. I mean, I often watch, I see on social media, I see how, you know, the streets of so many countries is empty right now.
Empty.
The streets of Nigeria is as if it's even becoming more and more overpopulated by the day. So I don't really understand, but I do understand as well that it's because of lack of proper management of, resources, that it's not going around to people. People are, because there's such a high number, rate of people who are, self-employed or business owners, where, people that actually is what they make in a day that they used to eat, they used to feed. What would you say for the pepper sellers or the akara sellers or the pop sellers that are on the streets that work, and make their daily bread that way? How are they going to be looked after? So I do understand that, it's a big problem. And what really can I say about it? I mean, the problem comes from the top. And if it comes from the top, it needs to be addressed, from the top, because there's very little that, people at the grassroots can do or say, or, you have people that are volunteering, that are giving, funds, who are, donating to people who are, doing charity based on the little that they have. However, that is just a few people, and it's getting to a few people, whereas there's a humongous number of people who actually are not getting anything, and who are not in a position to come out. Maybe those that are able-bodied that can go out and say, okay, I want to hustle and get something. Some people can't. You understand? What about the disabled people in the community? What about the blind people? What about people that are not, are being looked after by others, who also now have to fend for themselves first and foremost? So, I mean, to be honest with you, I really can't say that I have a solution. The solution lies, with the top addressing the needs of, you know, the people, the needs of the masses, and to stop being selfish and just, you know, holding. I mean, people, I've heard of people donating money to the government. The government is the one that needs to give the people, that needs to send the money and distribute it fairly amongst different local governments and different states in order for them all to be okay. But then the thing is, how does that happen when we have a generally selfish government? I hope I'm not going to get myself in trouble by saying what I'm saying, but then generally, you know, we have a generally selfish government that is not really looking after its people. You know, in the UK here, the government is looking after its people. We have, even within my community where I live, they're putting into our letterboxes little notes saying if you're self-isolating or you're unwell and are not able to go out and get food, please call this number. And they're sending in relief packages to people that are not able to go out and shop. They're sending people, you know, things. They you know, us as key workers, they're giving us, you know, 10% off in different stores here and there. What are they giving to the key workers back home in Nigeria? What are they doing? They're not prioritizing. They're not prioritizing the need of the people. They're not prioritizing the, you know, the things that should be done. I mean, they're more concerned about things that are irrelevant at this particular point in time. I mean, I heard that they gave you guys a discount on fuel. At the end of the day, of what use is fuel to people who are hungry?
When people are sitting in their houses, of what is the?
It doesn't make any sense at all. But then the bottom line is that the government needs to get it right first and foremost. And it's sad because the government aren't the ones suffering right now. The people in power are actually living large. They're eating their 3 square meals and then some. It's people that are out there, the masses, the you know, the people at the grassroots, the general public that are suffering at the moment, and those who are working, like my fellow key workers back there in Nigeria. I don't know what's been done for them. I don't know, you know, if there's any care or there's any accolades or there's any assistance being given to them and their own family as well as they look after sick people. So I mean, generally, it's a concern. At this point in time, you talked about testing centers. How is the testing being done? You know, under which parameters are people being tested? Okay, do people know when they need to be tested? Are the people who are, you know, in hospitals, my fellow colleagues, are they trained to be able to test people? Do they know which people need, you know, priority testing? Do they, you know, all these things are, you know, issues that, you know, the government should be looking at. You understand what I'm trying to say? Apart from giving people relief packages, we're meant to be looking at training for people. I mean, in this country now, they're setting up different, you know, they're trying to recruit people. They're trying to recruit staff. They're trying to set up centers where, you know, they're preparing for the worst. Whereas in Nigeria, they're giving people discount of 20 naira off fuel. At the end of the day, it's not making sense. Do the community, the general public know what to look for, signs and, you know, and symptoms that they need to actually look for? You know, do they know how to access help? Do they know who to call? Do you have a 999 or a 911 or an emergency service? You know, I'm just asking because I don't know. I'm not trying to.
Yeah, I'm gonna respond to that.
Do we have that service available? Okay, if somebody was having difficulty breathing and couldn't breathe and is sick, who goes to get them from home? Who goes to get them from home? Who goes to help them out? You know, do they have the kits? Do they have PPE? Do the staff in the hospital, do they have protective equipment? Do they have the correct protective equipment? Okay, if somebody needed oxygen, do they have oxygen available? Do they have to then first go and bring their card and pay before they can get access to healthcare? Because I believe that healthcare for anyone who is sick with COVID-19 should be free, because this is a general pandemic. It shouldn't be that I want to deliver, go and bring however many thousands. It should be a case of free health service for people who are sick,
absolutely,
you know, symptoms of COVID-19. Is that happening? Or are they having to go and queue in hospitals and wait for them to bring their card or bring any money to be seen? I mean, I don't know if all these things have been taken into consideration, or the government is able to subsidize in these kinds of situations or in these instances.
Well, no doubt. I live in Lagos, and I must commend the governor of Lagos State for what he's doing. I also think that as much as I do not want to give him a lot of accolade, because I feel also that these are his responsibility. These are why we elected him. And in times like this, where the people need him, he should also stand up. But they have been doing quite amazing. I know there's a center, their isolation center. At the moment, Dangote, the MD of GT Bank and a couple of other people are actually building another isolation center at the moment, which is going to be ready in like a week or so, according to the report I got. But then again, the effectiveness
Sorry,
of
can I just ask? Sorry to cut you off.
yeah,
When you say isolation center, what is provided in an isolation center?
ventilators, of course, they are also trying to recruit people who are supposed to now be like volunteers to help those who are confirmed cases of the
Who are
of
trained
COVID-19. Yeah,
or just okay?
of course they are supposed to be trained. You're not supposed to just they are not supposed to just get people who are not trained. So
Yeah.
I'm sure those are the things that they already are lining up for those. But me personally, I don't want this thing to continue longer than this. But the problem has always been that, you are talking about the rich people are the ones who are living large. As much as we know that they brought this thing into the country, the average guy, that's the truth. The average guy in Ijesha, Itire, the average guy in Mushin, the average guy in Ajegunle, a lot of these guys a lot of them do not have traveling history. So how did the virus come into Nigeria from these big guys?
Yeah.
Now they have come in, now their money cannot save them anymore. So all of us, we die here. So everybody is here. They can't fly out anymore because where you're flying to is a
They're not even
pandemic.
allowing it in. Yeah. They're not
So
even allowing anyone in
everybody,
anywhere anyway.
yeah. So everybody is here at the moment. So we are looking at what the governor of Lagos State is doing and how well he has been able to manage. And one of the things I see that he does regularly is he tries to motivate these frontline workers, which I think is a good thing, motivating them in terms of really looking after what they are doing, really looking after them. Our president addressed us last week, and one of the things he said was we're going to set up committee to look out for our healthcare worker. And I'm sitting and I'm
Still
wondering,
setting up
no,
committee. How many weeks
we are
in?
still setting up committee
How
at
many
this
weeks
point
in?
in time. At this point, now we have had the first 2 weeks lockdown. Now this is the second 2 weeks, and you are setting up committee for your healthcare. I'm sure these are some of the things that for those in the Western world really enjoy. You don't need to be setting up committee at this point in time. So a lot needs to be done for us here in Nigeria. A lot needs to be done, especially for those who are risking their life at this point in time.
Exactly.
For me, I'm sitting in my house. I'm being careful. Even when I go out, maybe to take a walk or exercise around my neighborhood, I'm also being careful so that you don't say maybe somebody was walking by and the person come and cough into your nose or anything like that. So as much as we are asking people to stay at home, we're also asking them to be aware of these safety measures so that they don't get themselves into trouble by not observing this whole thing. So generally, as we round up, give us tips on how to really stay safe in this time from the medical perspective now.
Right. Okay. So I'd say, in terms of staying safe at this particular point in time, first and foremost, adhering to the rules and regulations, which is to self-isolate, to stay home. If you don't need to buy anything, don't go out. I mean, apart from maybe within your compound, just to have a brief walk, and come back in. I would advise not to really go out. I'd advise, as well, that, we try to, maintain good hygiene. Our hand hygiene needs to be impeccable. I mean, I saw, was it a WhatsApp sort of video about one of your, I don't know if he's one of your, I don't know, maybe governor or whoever, who, yeah, was the governor of the state, who washed his hands, and he took off his glove and all his business outside, and I don't know, he was very, very tardy about that. I mean, we really need to be careful. There's no point wearing gloves and still using that gloved hand to touch your face, to touch parts of your body. There's no point. There's no point in if you don't know how to use gloves and how to be careful and safe in using gloves, it's better to just wash your hands regularly. 20 seconds, you need to wash your hands, 20 seconds, back and front, use disinfectant soap, wash your hands, keep safe. I mean, I'd say eat as healthy as possible diet. I don't know what things are like for many people back home right now in terms of buying food and everything, but eat as healthy as possible a diet as you can. Multivitamins, keep your immune system well boosted and safe. And generally, if you stay home and don't, I mean, no gatherings, no visitors, apart from you and your family, who you live together and who you've lived together. It's not the time to be welcoming guests. It's not the time to be having parties. It's not the time to be, entertaining anybody, not even your neighbor from down the street, because you don't know what they have and what they might bring to you. So the best thing is to stay home and to stay safe, to maintain good hand hygiene, to eat well, to sleep well, and generally, just to be of high. I would say, I'm a Christian. I'd say pray, because that's definitely going to be part of my medical check as well. I would put it there because it's very important to me as well.
Very,
Pray
very.
and stay safe. That would be my own advice. And if you start to get signs or symptoms of any sort of feeling, unwell, I don't know the system that you use, but any system that you would use, I would say you need to use, and trying to get help and reach out so someone can come and help you, or maybe go to the hospital if that's what they do in Nigeria. I don't know. I mean, generally in the Western world, the prime minister, the president, they fight against COVID-19. They take the bull by the horn. They address matters head on. The government needs to step up in order for people to be able to do what they need to do. The government needs to do what it needs to do. In this country where we are now, the government is doing what they need to do. They're providing us with what we need. They're giving us all that we require. People that are at home are not worrying about how they're going to feed. They're not worrying about their income. They're not worrying about their rent. Some places they've been given, people who have mortgages have been given mortgage relief. They've been given rent relief. People's loans and direct debits and all that, or whatever, have been, there's been assistance even with the banking as well. But I don't know what has been offered back there. And I don't think that people will be able to follow these guidelines of wash your hand and all that if they cannot even be certain of how they're going to fend for their children, how they're going to eat. I'm a mom, and I think that every mom out there will do what they need to do. They'd rather die of COVID-19 than die of hunger in the house. So generally, the government needs to do what they need to do in order for people to stay home, to adhere to rules and regulations, to keep their hand hygiene going, and to stay healthy. That's the bottom line as far as I'm concerned.
I'm going to just pick a few questions now. There are people response to some of the things that we have had. Okay, now somebody is saying emergency service in Nigeria is a no-no. It's really a no-no. Somebody is saying our emergency service is meant for people in power. They hardly respond to people who are, near them. And you see, these are some of the things, some of the challenges that we have to face here in Nigeria. Okay, somebody is saying, once a week we will stop other come off for road and stay. I don't understand what that one was saying. Okay, composer. Okay, all right. The last person is saying hunger virus kills faster than coronavirus. Staying home cannot really work in Nigeria because people are hungry. So these are some of the challenges that we faced here in Nigeria, that we are faced with here in Nigeria. People are hungry. People are, like you said, are not certain of what they are going to eat. So as a result, they want to go out. They want to do something. They want to look out for ways to, and that way exposing themselves to the risk of contacting this virus. And once they get it, it's easier for them to even spread it faster than the big shot, because once this person who goes out gets it, their family, and we have a problem of contact tracing in Nigeria. For you mentioned the case of your client who was in the hospital, and how you guys were able to isolate everybody that attended to her. For us here is a problem. So it's something that, as much as I'm praying to God about this whole thing to go away, I'm also asking that God helps our people to let them know how serious this thing is, and we find a way to really consciously, it has to be as a matter of urgency, to know that we have to collectively take responsibility to avoid the further spread of the virus.
Another thing that I would say quickly as well is that I've noticed as well that in some of the videos and on news, social media, I see a lot of elderly people out there, a lot of elderly people, and elderly people here are the ones who are mostly at risk. Elderly people, children, people that are immunosuppressed, people who have got underlying health complications, and many of those elderly people will have raised blood pressure, diabetes, and other illnesses that they might not even be aware of, that hasn't been given, they've not been diagnosed of. And these people are very much at risk. They're much at risk of dying from the infection. Young people who are healthy, who have got a strong immune system, who don't have any underlying problems, may not die. Even if they get it, they might bounce back. It might just be like a cold. But people of this this group of people are at risk seriously, and these people, especially for anyone who has got elder people at home in Nigeria, if you've got moms or grandmas or anyone around you, please encourage them most especially to stay home, and whatever you can do to provide for them. I know it's difficult in this time, in this this season, but whatever you can do to make sure that they are provided for, let them stay home, please.
Thank you very much. It's been an interesting conversation. We are grateful for joining us
Thank you for
today.
having me. Thank you so much.
I'm really, really excited. For those who are going to be watching this video later, it's going to be uploaded on YouTube after now. So for those who want to catch up on it later, it will be uploaded. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
We are grateful. My regards to your family.
Thank you. All the best. Bye.
Yes. All right, guys. There you have it. It's been an interesting, very, very insightful conversation. We all know what it is at this point in time. Let's stay home. Let's stay safe. We have been asked to look out for our aged mothers, widows, all the people who we know are above 50, and really they should stay home because they are more prone to this virus than those who are younger. So please, guys, I'm grateful. Thank you to everyone who joined us. Thank you so much. I can't begin to call all the names. Thank you for your comments. Thank you, guys. We are going to be coming up here again on Friday, and maybe tomorrow I can decide to just share a few things. I don't know. I was trying to just come up with a few things I want to share personally on this whole coronavirus thing as a result of the notes I've been taking throughout my conversation with all the guests who have been coming on the show. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Friday, I'll see you guys. Thank you so much, and God bless us. God no go shame us. So thank you, guys. Thank you.